Are we on? Are we on now? Is Tevita Kaili in the? Have they put Tevita Kaili in? He is starting us off.
We haven't got Tevita online at the moment.
She's here.
Okay.
You're right. To Tevita Kaili, you have to accept the invitation to speak to the committee.
Right. So he needs to accept the panelist prompt. Just click on accept. When the prompt comes up, then he'll be promoted to become a panelist.
Has he accepted it?
He appears to be coming on now.
Yes, thank you.
Right. So if he can just switch his kia ora, Tevita. We've got you here. We're kind of pressed for time. So welcome to the committee. You've got 10 minutes. I'll just hand straight over to you. Kia ora.
Thank you. Tapu mo tangata I whanua Aotearoa, mo te ika maui, mo te Waitangi, kanaka o iwi o Hawaii, pepe ke tangata I whanua o Moana Nui, pepe ke komiti o e whamau totonu. I begin with an honorific salutation to the tangata whenua Aotearoa, te ika maui, mo te Waitangi, also the kanaka o iwi o Hawaii where I'm located, and all the indigenous people of Moana Nui, and to the esteemed members of the Justice Committee. Today I speak as a Tongan, an indigenous person from Moana Nui, Oceania, and a relative to all Maori through our ancestors Tangaloa, Hina, and Maui. I'm also married to Elizabeth Rego Kaili, who is Ngati Hine and Ngapuhi, and I express my deep aroha from Hawaii to Ngati Hine and my Ngapuhi relatives. I'm currently residing in Oahu, Hawaii, and I'm a professor of anthropology and cultural sustainability at the Brigham Young University in Hawaii. Dr. Nuhisifa Seve, Niwen, and I are representing the Mana Moana, We Are Maui, a collective of scholars, activists, and direct descendants of the Moana Nui region. These scholars and activists include Tinangata, Maori, Ngati Porou, Professor Vicente Diaz, Carolinian, Pompeian, and Keala Kelly, Native Hawaiian, Professor Kualoha Ho'omanawa Nui, Native Hawaiian, Professor Tina Taitano Delayo, Chamorro, and Brian Kafakafa Towson, Irish American. The treaty principles bills represent a profound disruption to the intricate relations that have long defined Maori Tinoranga Tiratanga and the vast social ties that bind Aotearoa New Zealand to the broader Moana Nui region. As a collective, we strongly oppose this bill, which marked not a step forward, but a dangerous unraveling of indigenous sovereignty, justice, and ecological responsibility. At its core, the bill weakens the Crown's obligation to Maori, disregarding the sacred commitments of the Tiriti o Waitangi, and undermining the self-determination of Tangata Whenua. Rather than nurturing the va between Maori and the state, it had imposed an asymmetrical power structure that privileges colonial governance over indigenous autonomy. This is not the trajectory of decolonization, it is a deliberate move to weaken Maori governance and entrench historical injustices. Beyond Aotearoa New Zealand, the implications extend across Moana Nui. New Zealand's colonial entanglements with Tokelau, Niue, the Cook Islands, and Samoa are deeply woven into the region's socio-political fabric. By failing to uphold the Te Tiriti, this bill signals to the wider Moana Nui that Aotearoa New Zealand remains unwilling to reckon with its colonial past and present. The va between Moana Nui nations, built on kinship, reciprocity, and shared struggles, is placed at risk when indigenous rights are diminished in one part of Oceania. The bill also threatens the ecological integrity of Moana Nui. Maori and Moana Nui people are genealogically tied to the land and sea, bound through whakapapa or hohoko, to the sacred ancestral beings of the natural world. This is not a mere connection, it is an ontological reality. The va between people and environment is one of reciprocal care. Maori governance over marine ecosystems and climate justice efforts are integral to protecting these ancestral relations. The weakening of indigenous governance, as outlined in the bill, severs this relational responsibility and endangers ecological future of Moana Nui. Furthermore, the bill mirrors a broader pattern in Aotearoa New Zealand's foreign relation, a persisting privileging of strategic and economic interests over indigenous-led governance. A future center on Te Tiriti would not only honor Maori rights, but also position Aotearoa as a leader in indigenous-led ecological and political framework. Such a future would restore and strengthen the va within Moana Nui rather than further erode it. Ultimately, this bill is a stark manifestation of reluctance to dismantle colonial foundation. It does not foster tauhiba, nurturing just and balanced social cultural ties, but instead exacerbate the destruction of power that have long marginalized indigenous people. At this time, I'm turning over to Dr. Nuhisifa Seve.
Whakalofalahi atu, I'm speaking as a Niuean, born in Niue but raised in New Zealand. There are 5 generations of my mangawhaoa born in New Zealand. Relationships is a fundamental Moana Nui value. It underpins our experiences here as the Moana Nui diaspora. Our ancestors from the Moana Nui has always heeded the call of New Zealand. When you needed reinforcements for the New Zealand Expeditionary Forces during World War I, we came from across the Moana to join a war effort that our ancestors never really understood. They died and are buried across the oceans in the land of the Empire, and absent in the narratives of war of the Empire. We heeded the call for labour. Our ancestors left their homes in Niue, Samoa, Tokelau, and the Cook Islands in the first migration wave of the late 1950s and 1960s, seeking better lives. Tongans would arrive later in the second wave from the 1970s onwards. When we came, New Zealand simply appended us to Māori, and as such, we were subjected to the benevolence of the state. What impacts on tangata whenua will also impact us. This is what our experiences of New Zealand has taught us as descendants of our ancestors that came, never to return to their island homes. Our ancestors' pito are buried in the whanua of our island homes, but they rest here in the whanua of Aotearoa. The vibe between Moana Nui nations built on kinship, reciprocity, and shared struggles is why we are here today. We reject the treaty principle bill in its entirety. The integrity of Te Tiriti o Waitangi must be upheld to protect Māori rights, fortify Moana Nui solidarities, and ensure an Indigenous-centred approach to climate action. Only through such a commitment can Aotearoa truly sustain the vibe that binds land, ocean, and people, as our ancestors have done for generations. Whakawelahi te tina ngata for writing the submission on our behalf, and the Mana Moana Collective, We Are Maui, We Are Moana, who continue to work across the Moana on issues of social justice and Indigenous sovereignty for the peoples of the Moana Nui. Whakawelahi for the opportunity to present today.
Well, thank you very much for your submission. We're pretty much out of time, but thank you for that. We do have your written submission in front of us as well. So, malole, thank you.
It's a bit of a shame there's no questions, but I learned a lot from that submission that I otherwise would never have known about the whole interwovenness of the Pacific Islands around Tiriti.
Yeah, I actually thought that was a really interesting point that was made, and I really appreciated having that international lens brought in from across the Moana. You know, clearly this is an issue that resonates in terms of parallels across other nations who have experienced colonization. And it's at the forefront of the debates in terms of the impact that it has on many of us. So yeah, I really appreciated having that brought into the conversation.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.